In a world where people's happiness depends on their ratings, a woman named Lacie Pound, with a 4.2 rating, exercises and continuously gives 5-star ratings to strangers. She also practices her smile and laughs in the mirror as she prepares to go work to get a higher rating. Everyone can see each other's ratings through eye implants. Then, Lacie informs her younger brother, Ryan Pound, that their landlord will send buyers to their place, so he should put his pants on. Ryan replies he might scare off the buyers if he doesn't put on his pants, and they can stay there. However, Lacie says the lease is up in 4 weeks. Meanwhile, Ryan gets dressed properly and tells her he can stay at his friend's house once they leave their apartment, while Lacie says she will be checking some places over lunch. As Lacie goes to work, she stops by a cafe, and everyone is literally on their cell phone. Then, Lacie continuously gives 5-star ratings to other people. The barista gives her a free cookie as she gets her coffee, and they give each other a 5-star rating. Sadly, their society is all about ratings. Afterward, Lacie bites off half the cookie and spits it. Lacie takes a picture of it and uploads it on social media with a nice caption despite not liking the taste of it. People then start to give her post 5 stars, which increases her rating. At work, Lacie notices her 4.8 friend, Naomi Blesto, rates her post with 4 stars, which bothers her. Then, her co-worker, Chester, offers her a smoothie to give him a 5-star, making her other colleagues look at her, so she gives him a 5-star rating. After he leaves, another co-worker tells Lacie they are not talking to Chester because he and his boyfriend, Gordon, broke up, which is why he has a 3.1 rating. He clarifies to her that they are on Gordon's side, and Lacie receives a series of low rates from anonymous people. At lunchtime, Lacie visits Pelican Cove to check some apartments. Meanwhile, Ryan calls informing her that the couple the landlord sent to their current apartment will buy the place. Then she meets with the landlady of Pelican Cove, who says they should not delay if she is interested since plenty of people want to buy the apartment. So Lacie says she's interested in the place. However, the price for her is too high. Because of that, the landlady tells her that people with a rating of 4.5 get a 20% discount. Thus, Lacie thinks of a way to get a 4.5. Lacie stalks Naomi and her boyfriend on social media as she returns home, giving them 5 stars each. Ryan then realizes that she will be transferring to Pelican Cove and teases her, but Lacie says it is a cool place. Unfortunately, Ryan tells her she isn't qualified to live there. Later, Lacie goes to an expert to ask for guidance on how to get a 4.5 rating. They review all the things Lacie is doing, and so far, so good. Soon, the guy tells her that 4.5 is achievable. Lacie then asks how long he thinks before she could get a 4.5, and he responds 18 months or more. However, Lacie needs a faster way to get 4.5, so the guy says she needs a boost, and he explains that her circle is mid to low range folks. Sadly, to increase, she needs high quality people like high 4s. After that, Lacie begins interacting with high 4s by giving them all 5-star ratings. Everywhere she goes, she gives a 5-star rating to everyone except for Chester, who already has a 2.4 rating. While on the elevator, she has an awkward conversation with another woman. Lacie offers her a croissant, but the lady refuses since she already ate. When Lacie reaches her floor, she gives the woman a 5-star rating, while the lady gives her a 3-star rating. Then, the advisor tells her not to try too hard through a video call because high 4s can sense if they are faking it. She needs to be herself and make authentic gestures. Afterward, she takes a picture of her doll, Mr. Rags, and uploads it on social media. Surprisingly, Naomi rates it 5 stars, making her delighted. Later, she spills some liquid on her shirt as she opens a jar while making dinner. Ryan asks her what she's making, and she replies tapenade, shocking Ryan since she usually doesn't make food like that. Suddenly, Naomi calls, so Lacie starts to panic and immediately covers her wet shirt. Lacie answers the video call and they start catching up. Naomi reveals that she's already engaged with her boyfriend, asking Lacie if she can come to her wedding in Honeysuckle outside Port Mary. Then, Lacie says she will go. Suddenly, Naomi asks Lacie if she can be her maid of honor, shocking Lacie since Naomi has plenty of new friends now. However, Naomi points out that seeing Mr. Rags brought back so much of their childhood memories, and she wants her oldest friend to be her maid of honor. Eventually, Lacie agrees. Naomi tells her she should prepare a speech, and Lacie asks how many people are attending the wedding. When Naomi informs her that hundreds of people will be there, Lacie can't help but feel pressured. Naomi then reveals that all her guests have 4.7 rates or higher, which gives Lacie an idea to grab the opportunity to have a higher rating. After the call, Lacie gives Naomi a 5-star rating and Ryan is confused since Naomi was always mean to Lacie when they were young. Then she shows the list of guests to her advisor, who says she'll definitely increase her ratings now. Later, Lacie calls the landlady of Pelican Cove and tells her she's getting the place. However, the landlady notices she is still on a 4.2, but Lacie says she's working on it and will transfer the deposit. Soon, Lacie starts to deliver her heartwarming speech while pictures of her and Naomi as kids are shown on TV. Ryan watches her and he thinks she's a sociopath for doing that. Lacie then tells him that she just wants Naomi to be happy on her wedding day. She points out it is a win-win if she gets hundreds of high rates during the wedding. So Ryan asks the exact rating she's hoping for. Enraged, Lacie tells him he also gets points from his gaming friends and says it's the same thing, adding that he shouldn't criticize her for aiming higher. Ryan slams her for choosing an apartment in Pelican Cove since it's a fake smile jail cell, but Lacie thinks the place is great. Ryan expresses how much he misses the old Lacie and having a conversation with her before she became obsessed with ratings. Ryan asks Lacie if her Pelican Cove deposit is refundable because things might not work according to her plans, but Lacie angrily tells him to stay out of her life since living with him is not easy. Then, the car she booked to take her to the airport arrives, and Lacie and Ryan give a low rating to each other. As Lacie goes to the car, she bumps a 4.8 lady, causing her to spill her drink and give Lacie a low rating. Then, Naomi calls while she is in the car to check on her about her flight and dress. They both talk loudly, which annoys the driver. So, after she's dropped off at the airport, the driver gives her a low rating. Afterward, Lacie enters the airport and prepares for check-in. Surprisingly, the airport stewardess tells Lacie that her flight has been cancelled, so she asks when the next flight is, but they are all already full. Lacie then points out she booked her flight a few weeks ago to attend her best friend's wedding. Hence, the airport stewardess finds a way to help her. Luckily, she sees one standby seat on a plane leaving that night. However, the seat is reserved for members of their Prime Flight program, and Lacie needs to be a 4.2 or over to qualify. Because of her encounters a while ago, Lacie's rating has dropped to 4.183, which means she can't get the seat. Lacie then starts to argue since the stewardess won't let her on the flight. She asks for the supervisor, but the lady says she can't do that. So Lacie curses and screams, which makes the other customers give her a low rating. Unfortunately, the stewardess calls the airport guard, accusing her of using intimidation and profanity. As a consequence, the airport guard docks Lacie one full ranking point as a punitive measure. It is only temporary, but it leaves Lacie with a 3.1 rating. Her score will revert to normal within 24 hours, and during that period, all downvotes are subject to a ×2 multiplier. Lacie realizes she's on double damage, and then she's asked to leave the airport. Moments later, Lacie decides to rent a car and drive to the wedding. As she gets inside the vehicle, it starts to talk in Czech, so she tries to change the language but doesn't know how. While driving, Lacie practices the speech she will deliver at Naomi's wedding. Suddenly, Naomi calls, asking her where she is. Lacie mentions that she missed her flight and can't make it to her rehearsal dinner, so she apologizes. Then she tells Naomi that she's driving, which shocks her friend because it is a 9-hour drive to her location. Naomi then asks if everything is fine and tells her she can find a replacement if Lacie can't come, but Lacie insists she will be there. After the call, Lacie gives her 5 stars while waiting for Naomi to rate her too. Eventually, Naomi gives her a 5-star rating also. Later, Lacie gets sleepy and notices that the car battery is almost out, so she stops by a charging station, but the charger doesn't fit her car. She tells the man in charge of the station that their charger doesn't fit her car, and the man replies that her car is an old model and she should have an adapter. Lacie then gives him a 5-star rating, but the guy gives her 2 stars since it was not a meaningful encounter for him. Afterward, Lacie asks people if they have adapters to charge her car. Unfortunately, everyone says they don't. Lacie starts walking and tries to hitchhike. However, people notice that she has a 2.8 rating, so they ignore her and give her a low rating even though she didn't do anything. Suddenly, an old lady, Susan, stops her truck and offers her a ride. Susan has a 1.4 rating, and while Lacie is hesitant to go with her, she has no other choice but to get in her truck. While driving, Susan admits that she, too, was fixated on ratings until her husband was denied a special kind of treatment for his illness. Her husband was a 4.3 and the doctors gave the treatment to a 4.4. After that, Susan stopped caring about the ratings and did everything she wanted. Susan even lost some of her friends, and she advises Lacie to stop caring about the ratings too. However, Lacie is still unhappy with her life and states she has to play the numbers game because that's how the world works. In the morning, Susan wakes Lacie up and tells her they are 30 miles away from her destination, also putting alcohol in her bag. Once Susan leaves, Lacie goes to the restroom where cosplayers show up. One of them mentions the Sea of Tranquility and TranquilityCon in Port Mary, and upon hearing this, Lacie immediately searches what those are on her phone and pretends to know them. She lies to the other cosplayer that she's going to TranquilityCon with her friend, but her car broke down, so the cosplayer offers her a ride. Lacie tries to fit in with the cosplayers in their RV, but keeps saying wrong information about the Sea of Tranquility. Then, Naomi calls and tells her not to come because she doesn't want a 2.6 at her wedding. Lacie tries to convince her that her rating is only temporary, but Naomi still doesn't want her to come. Naomi reveals that the only reason she asked Lacie in the first place was so that she could play nice with her guests and raise her rating by having an old school buddy who is just a low 4. Lacie then asks if it's all just numbers for her, but Naomi clarifies it was numbers for both of them. Despite being told not to come, Lacie still tells her that she will be giving the speech. After the call, Lacie tells the cosplayers she hasn't seen their show, so they kick her out of the RV. Then, Lacie drinks the alcohol that Susan gave to her. Lacie becomes drunk and chooses to gatecrash Naomi's wedding reception. She sees a guy with an ATV, so she asks if she can borrow it. Luckily, the guy lets her, and she hurriedly leaves. When Lacie arrives at the reception, she dresses and delivers her speech drunkenly, humiliating herself and criticizing Naomi for sleeping with her ex-boyfriend when they were younger. All of the visitors give her low ratings, but Lacie seems unconcerned. When Naomi's husband, Paul, tries to stop her, Lacie points a knife at him and also threatens to cut off Mr. Rag's head. Eventually, the security arrives and gets her, and she is thrown in jail, where her eye implants are taken. Surprisingly, she is delighted, trading insults with a guy in another cell without worrying about receiving a low rating.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.